My name is Lynette Lee. Thank you for listening to me today. Biodiversity is the tapestry of life, and we are pulling too many threads. This is a quote from Dr. Jane Goodall. She's a world-renowned zoologist, primatologist, and anthropologist. And although she's best known for her work with chimpanzees, she's also been a leading advocate for sustainability and environmental conservation. I too believe that biodiversity is the engine of our planet, and urban wildlife corridors are essential to our sustainability. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, one of the most influential 18th century philosophers, said, "Nature never deceives us, it is we who deceive ourselves." I agree. In our own self-deception and arrogance, we've gone about building our cities, homes, and neighborhoods by just bulldozing through natural habitats, cutting off animal migration areas with little to no thought about how it disrupts the entire biodiversity. Right now, as we speak, we are going through the first mass extinction in 65 million years, and there are 1 million species at risk. Our world is incredibly fragile, and sometimes we forget about our responsibility to this planet that sustains us. Biodiversity is declining in an unprecedented rate. It's happening everywhere, even in your own community, in your own backyard. So what are wildlife corridors? These corridors are connecting these fragmented habitats we've created that have cut the animals off from each other, their food, and their established migration patterns. There are many reasons for creating urban wildlife corridors. The first one I want to talk about is pollinators. Pollinators are animals like bees, bats, moths, butterflies, and birds who spread pollen from plant to plant, providing a valuable service that supports healthy fruit and vegetable crops. Pollinators are the unsung heroes of our gardens, fields, and farms. Bees are our champion pollinators. Without bees, many of the world's most important crops would fail and affect the food supply of humans and countless other species. Approximately 75% of the world's crops depend on pollinators. Many factors are influencing the decline of bees, including habitat loss, pesticides, and climate change. Birds are also pollinators, and migratory birds rely on healthy wetlands for food, water, and shelter. Wetlands are considered biological supermarkets. They provide great volumes of food that attract many species. They're also important because they help with natural water quality improvement, flood protection, erosion control, and freshwater supply. Another important corridor are created by wildlife crossings. Wildlife crossings can be over highways or under highways. Putting in these crossings helps various species to find resources such as food, water, and mates. And roads also expose animals to traffic and increase the risk of collisions. In the United States, between 1 to 2 million vehicle collisions with large animals occur every year. So this is a win-win for humans and wildlife. The border wall. I'm sure you're all aware of the back and forth in Washington about our border wall. In an article in the Arizona Republic from April 26 of 2025, the headline was, "Walling off the US-Mexico border would be catastrophic to wildlife." The wall at the border disrupts ancient migration patterns, threatening species like mountain lions, black bears, bighorn sheep, desert tortoises, Mexican gray wolves, and our very own Arizona jaguars. The current administration has said they want to build across the 27.5 mile long San Rafael Valley. The Sky Islands, which are tall mountains in the San Rafael Valley, are one of the most biodiverse places on the planet. I am advocating for each one of us to find a way to support efforts towards building more wildlife corridors for a more sustainable future. So how do we go about this? First, get the kids involved. We have to make sure that future generations do better. So educate your kids at home, work with the school districts to make sure that kids are learning about sustainability. Other things you can do is plant your own pollinator-friendly gardens. There are tons of resources online. Get involved locally. Encourage local highway crossings, fight against the border wall, advocate for local habitat restorations, and vote for people at every level who care about sustainability. You can also pick an organization and start supporting them. There are a few existing objections to these corridors. One is economic. People just assume that they're going to be expensive to create or maintain, but they aren't. In fact, protecting biodiversity is good for the economy. It's estimated that for every dollar we spend, we get $5 in return. Another fear about the corridors are wildlife encounters, especially with mountain lions. There's a great organization called the Mountain Lion Foundation. Please spend some time on their website. Mountain lions are very misunderstood. There is a way to coexist with these magnificent creatures. We have lots of gorgeous cats in our state. We need to make sure that we protect them from further habitat loss and unnecessary deaths. I spoke with you today about urban wildlife corridors, how biodiversity is so important for the whole planet. We can all make a difference. We just have to do our little part. I leave you with a couple of quotes. The first one is from our former president, Theodore Roosevelt, who was a great conservationist. He said, "The wildlife and its habitat cannot speak, so we must and we will." The other quote is from an Arizonan who was an Arizona congressman and a steadfast environmentalist, Stuart Udall. He said, "Plans to protect air and water, wilderness and wildlife are in fact plans to protect man." So let's carry on with their legacies. Thank you for listening to me today about urban wildlife corridors and their importance to our own sustainability. I hope that I've inspired you to get involved. Thank you.